Hey, what's up? This is Kevin from Kevin's Barbecue Joints, and this one's awesome. It's with Fletch Sheridan, or Fletch, from Roegels Barbecue. He'll be heading up Roegels in Katy, which is set to open on Saturday, February 5th. This one's so fun. I knew Fletch because I'd heard a lot of people talking about him at Roegels, and I knew him on social media, but I didn't really know the person. And these interviews and these chats are all about learning about the people and getting a chance to know them, so that way when you do meet them at a festival or at the restaurant or wherever, you know them a little bit more. And his path is really intriguing. I won't get into too much detail, but a big portion of it involves Nebraska. He did end up working at a barbecue joint in Nebraska, but it wasn't his path at that point in his life. He ended up, and he'll explain how he got to Houston and worked for Truth Barbecue for a spell, and shortly thereafter he started working at Roegels. It was just a perfect fit for him, and it gave him a chance to really explore things creatively. And he goes into depth about his relationship with them and with that restaurant, and how excited he is to be heading up the Katy location, and what everything that you can look forward to seeing. Of course, things will change as they progress throughout the year, but this will give you a chance to kind of see where they're going, where they're headed, and how he's going to be interacting with the employees and uplifting them. And he has a special way about him, and I think that really comes across in this interview, and I think you're really going to like who Fletch is and really be interested in chatting with him when you do see him. I can't thank Fletch enough for taking the time. Congratulations on the new gig at Katy, and congratulations to Russell and Misty for this second location. It's really exciting. And I'm going to put a link below. I did a tour. Misty gave an entire tour of the restaurant, the front of the house as well as back of the house, and I think you'll find that really interesting. And I'll put links to both my interviews with Russell and Misty. Russell's was a few years back. If you're digging these, please subscribe. That way you don't miss out. I have interviews with tons of pitmasters, writers, photographers, you name it within the barbecue world, pit builders. I've got a lot of great conversations with a lot of amazing humans. I have a website at kevinsbbqjoints.com. But at the end, stay safe and be sure to visit your local barbecue joint. Good evening. You go by Fletch or you go by Fletcher?
I go by Fletch. My real name's Fletcher, but
Okay.
Fletch is what people call me. So.
And have you seen Fletch?
I have, yeah, at Chevy Chase.
Do you like Fletch? Do you like the movie?
I did, yeah, I did. I liked him. Spies Like Us was one of my favorite movies. So
good. Yeah, that was so
got me into him.
I often use that, like doctor.
Yeah.
Doctor.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't think everyone gets that reference.
No, I've got an interesting age gap in parents, so I got a little of both of their generations. My dad was 13 years older than my mom.
Oh, really? Okay. Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Georgetown, technically, but I was born in Florida. We moved to Georgetown when I was like 2 or 3, moved up to the DC area, and then to Boston, and then back to Georgetown when I was in 4th grade, I think.
Was one of your parents like a professor or something, or what?
No, my dad worked for the same company. It's Houghton Mifflin Harcourt, so they're educational publishing. Okay. But he's always worked for the same company for the past like 35 years, and just moved around to different locations for them. And then, as of recently, it's been a lot of remote work. But
so he still works for them now?
Yeah, he's still working.
Good for him. That's amazing to do for that long. Good.
I mean, he's got himself into a position that everyone would want to be. He said, my job is easier than it's ever been, and I'm getting paid more than I ever have. So
kudos to him. That's killer. That's awesome. Was he going to different places to help set stuff up or something? Or?
No, I think he's just been doing sales the entire time and moved from location to location. And now he works from home, and his biggest account is actually Dubai now. So he goes there 3 or 4 times a year.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's kind of it for travel now. I mean, he's definitely getting tired of the long flights, but I mean, it's
interesting life. So do you recall those moves, and what were those moves like?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know about the earlier ones, but I mean, being in Texas at a young age, we actually ended up moving back to the same neighborhood second time around.
Wow.
But
I like the neighborhood.
Up in the Northeast, we've got both of my parents were born and raised in New York. So when we were living up in that area, we would visit, out Long Island in the city, hang out with the 2 cousins that I have. That's my entire family.
Yeah, mine's like everyone seems like everyone has like this enormous family. Like mine's
a little
bit bigger, but not a whole lot bigger.
My fiance's got 100 plus on her side.
So there you go. You're marrying into
good.
Congratulations on the engagement.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. She's the best. We've been together, for a while now.
And it seems like not that social media tells you anything, but it seems like you guys are happy, and it seems like
Oh yeah,
that's a great thing to have in life. It's
yeah.
important.
Marriage was not on my mind at all when I met her. It was never a part of my life plan. But like,
Wow,
I've had
good for
many
you.
girlfriends in my time, but she's definitely the one that I've seen forever. So
Nice. I'm happy for you. So that's a good thing. So, so when you were up north, did you
oh yeah.
guys? Hey, we were back to New York. Right? Were
Yeah,
you
so I mean, the food culture up there is obviously rich,
Mhm.
whether it's seafood, the steakhouse scene, bagels, pizza.
So
But I
amazing,
mean, yeah, really nuts.
like
Um,
ridiculous?
mhm. People don't get it. I mean,
Yeah.
Texas, we have great food, but it's not quite as concentrated as it is up there.
Or as available at weird hours too.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, just being exposed to all those cities up there at a young age, like, and my parents both being into food, we always got to go to good restaurants and make things at home, whether we were raking clams out in the bay
Oh,
and
that's cool.
steaming them up. But food has always been a part of those journeys. When we were up there, it was a lot of Italian food. But coming back to Texas, I was sad. I mean, I was young, but I was conscious. I still remember the feelings of being in the backwards facing seat of my dad's station wagon,
Yes.
leaving Massachusetts. But
That's a very visceral
yeah, I
memory.
remember the going away party and me sitting in the back seat looking out the back
Uh,
window at it. So
like from a movie.
yeah, yeah. But no, I mean, I loved it up there. Specifically the weather. When we came down to Texas, I was young, but immediately had a hatred for the heat. And I was always in sports as well, so being
Yeah,
out in
it's
110 degrees was not fun. But
no, it's not.
yeah, it was a part of my life for a long time. But yeah,
So
I
then you
mean,
went to high school then in
yeah,
Texas.
yeah. I mean, I was in elementary, middle, and high school
Okay.
in Georgetown. After that, moved to Nebraska.
Huh.
I was a tennis player growing up. Lived pretty close to the courts. My brother's
So was
two.
I.
Oh yeah.
We're like the only two, probably.
Oh
That.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, probably the only two people that are in the barbecue
Yes.
scene that play tennis.
Oh,
So
that would admit maybe.
I don't throw that out there like too freely, but
No.
it seems
But it's
safe.
like it's an awesome sport. Like it really is. Even I like watching it. I don't watch it as much as I used to, but
Mhm.
when it gets you exert a lot of energy. It's
Yeah, it clears
strategic.
your head in a way I didn't really
Mhm.
appreciate until I stopped playing.
Same thing.
The focus involved, and more than anything in tennis, you learn how to lose
Yes.
because you lose, 4 or 5 times in one single game,
Yes.
and you got to get back within 15 or 20
And your
seconds.
head straight up. Yeah. Mhm.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, you have to be. Yeah, went up to Nebraska on a tennis scholarship.
Oh,
Played at
cool.
University of Nebraska Kearney. It's a Division II school in a fairly small town, probably 28,000 people when
Okay.
students are there. I loved it up there, man. Not much of a food scene in Nebraska, but what we did have, we loved. Whether it was the local Mexican spot or a pizza place. There wasn't a huge variety, but the people that were doing it up there were doing it well.
Okay.
So I mean, I definitely cooked a lot up there because of that. Not a lot of options,
Yeah.
but cooking
Did
is
you was
always.
one of the places on your list a barbecue place in Nebraska?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay, is that
So
that's where we're getting right? Okay,
yeah. So
I wanted to at
uh,
least pretend like I knew what I was talking about.
well, you've done your research.
I've done such that
More
I've looked at your
than,
Instagram.
more
That's
than
the
that.
research.
But yeah, so just for beer money, when I was up there, I worked for a local barbecue. He was also in the tennis community, the guy who owned it.
Huh?
And it was called Luke and Jake's Barbecue at the time. I think it was there for 19 years when I started there.
Oh wow.
But not much as far as the meats go. It was a lot of loaded baked potatoes, drenched in sauce. We were cooking on a Southern Pride rotisserie pit with hickory.
Gotcha.
But I mean, in my time up there, while I was in school, I wasn't thinking at all that this is something that I could possibly do with my life. I was getting a degree in computer science.
Oh,
And yeah, like geographic information systems, it's the mapping side of, data.
just
Um,
and super intriguing and very important, vital. Like
oh yeah,
we
it's
can't
in
live without.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really see it places, but it's in all of our hands as
Mm-hmm.
well. But yeah, so I was working there for beer money on the tennis team, involved in academics as well. I was in student research, traveling quite a bit for tennis as well. So every city we went to, I was in coach's gear saying, hey, let's go to this restaurant. Like, what's our budget tonight? Like, can we afford, $18 a plate? Like, so that was my escape from the slow life of Nebraska. And the slow life is actually, something I have learned to really appreciate
Mm-hmm.
since being in Houston specifically. Houston is something else, man. I mean, it's energy, it's noise, it's concrete everywhere you look. So I definitely think fondly of those days in Nebraska. I did a lot of things that I would have never done if I ended up there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a place as well, before going there, I'd never been. So it was a totally
and that's one state I've never been either, and it's somewhere I've wanted to. And there's something to be said about quiet and about stillness, and if you just sit back and listen wherever you are. I'm in LA, but I'm in a suburb. But there's always noise. There's always something, like even if outside, there's something that's just like it's never eerily quiet. Or
the spew. Yeah, it's the spew of humanity is what I call it.
That's true. Yes, there's like a metal grinding, lightly in the distance.
Yeah, definitely. I can hear it through the walls in my house right now.
It's ringing in the back of my skull.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've always got music playing to get a little piece.
How did you then? What are the pieces? How did you end up in Houston? How did this?
So I graduated in 2016 with my degree. I took a job in Nashville. It was a contract working for Google Fiber, mapping electrical distribution through the city, because they wanted, at the time, it was a huge deal. They wanted to put in fiber wire all over the city, specifically for the music industry out there. And they had a dispute with AT&T. It got nixed. Half of the class I trained with got fired. The other half of us got, options. Either you go to California, you go to Wisconsin, you go to New Hampshire, you go to El Paso. So I picked New Hampshire. Another place I'd never been, a new experience, working in a similar job, but I was out in the field this time rather than working on the city streets. So I was up there. I was all over the state. Same thing. It was a contract. That contract ended probably 6 months into that. And from that point, I was like, I'm not doing this. Like, I'm all for adventure, but just because of the isolation of the work, and you're not really seeing the fruit of your labor, and you're dealing with angry property owners saying, what the hell are you doing on my land?
So are you negotiating?
No, up there, we were just mapping electrical distribution. Yes, basically surveying and saying, if this transformer explodes, how can we get you power in the winter, quicker? So it was a great thing for property owners, but nobody understands that when you just walk up to their front door.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. You're a solicitor.
Yeah. So a little bit thankless up there. But I mean, the people I met, the experiences I had up there were amazing. New Hampshire is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. Winter sucks.
Yeah, were you there during the fall?
I was there like late summer and fall. Yeah. And then into early winter, and glad I got out, because I would, be working.
It's rough, yes.
Black, and be home when it's pitch black. But that was a fantastic experience. I had a couple friends from college that lived in the Metro Northeast area, so we'd meet up in Boston. And
that's
go to nice restaurants and enjoy it.
Some great restaurants too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But so I had met my fiance now when I was a junior in college, so we were still together when I was doing these couple treks. And then after that job, just felt like going home. I'd left Texas in 2012 and really never looked back. Didn't keep a lot of connections with high school friends. Was only back for the big holidays. It was a long 13 and a half hour drive for me. But yeah, I just had that itch to go home. I was a big kid for the first time and was pretty unsure of what I wanted to do. So I figured, go home, figure it out. So I started a job with the state, TCEQ. It's the state level EPA here. Just working in water quality with a bunch of young, smart, recent graduates, masters, PhDs, working in, like I said, water quality. But it was just seemed like wasted energy. You know, it was the grind of, well, let's get to Friday and enjoy the weekend. You know, whose birthday is it this week? Because we got to have something to relieve this, you know.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of like corporate stuff. Like,
Yeah,
even though that's not super corporate, it's like still it's that regimen. It's just that same.
yeah.
And then Monday meetings, and then it's like you get to
feeling, yeah.
Yes.
So that didn't last long as well. And as I was going to put in my 2 weeks, my superior was like, "Oh, I was actually just about to offer you a promotion." I was like, I thank you. That means I've, you know, been good for you, but it's not been good for me. So at the time I was like, I'd rather be with Floor, my fiance, or my girlfriend at the time. I'd rather be with her and not know what I'm doing with my life than be here, you know, not knowing what I'm doing with my life.
It's nice to be honest with yourself. That's not easy always.
Yeah. And I was lucky enough to have family that paid for my college and, you know, some scholarships. So I didn't have that, you know, constant pressure burden, from loans and, you know, how am I going to do this? I always had that figured out, which I'm really grateful for. And so I moved back up to Nebraska for her senior year. Started, you know, I didn't even have to ask really, but Ty, the guy who owned the barbecue, just said, "Yeah, come on back. You know, we got hours for you right away." Not super exciting work, but, you know, working there, sitting on, you know, 5-gallon buckets, scooping baked potatoes. I had a lot of time to think about, man, like, I was thinking with more of a adult brain this time around, rather than, hey, when am I getting off? I got to, you know, somewhere to be.
I want to have fun. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Instant gratification. And
yeah. So I was sitting around thinking, like, if this was my business, you know, what would I do? How would I make this better? And that's kind of what got the gears turning for me as far as food, because I love cooking. I've always loved serving people. I would cook, you know, family dinners for my family when I was in middle school, you know, and even younger than that, I think, and did the same, whether it was in the fraternity house or living with, you know, tennis roommates in college. I was always cooking for people. And that's
there's something special about that.
Yeah. I mean, the feeling of providing for people is really nice.
Especially when they're appreciative of it, and it's something that they themselves probably couldn't do themselves.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like,
and in college it was unique. All the guys on the tennis team are all foreigners. I was one of 4 Americans on the team. So we would, you know, I would ask them all about the foods that they would eat at home and try to do versions of that, or have them cook for me.
That's so great.
It was the best. I mean, they're still some of my best friends.
Well, that's cool. They can
from Egypt, Australia, Indonesia, kind of all over. But yeah, so I worked at Luke and Jake's Barbecue when I moved back up there. Got a job, you know, got the food wheels turning. I was like, well, if I'm gonna, you know, figure out my life, I need to find something that I actually enjoy doing, because it wasn't going to be sitting at a desk and it wasn't going to be out alone in a field. I knew those 2 things. And so I got a job at the closest thing to fine dining you could find in the town that I went to school. It was at a Holiday Inn. But it was good food. I learned, you know, a lot about knife skills, prep, you know, the pace of working in a kitchen. And I was also a high school tennis coach at the time. So a lot of my days up there at that time were, you know, 5 to 1:30 at the restaurant, 3 to 5, you know, outside of town teaching high school tennis, and then 6 to 9 closing up the barbecue. So it was a lot of long days, but a lot of time as well for me up there to really think and, you know, figure out where Floor, my girlfriend, wanted to go next. She was not born in Nebraska, but raised there her entire life in an even smaller town than the one we went to school in. And, you know, she had always wanted to venture out, you know, do the kind of moving around thing. And so I was like, all right, wherever your degree takes you, let's do it. And the teaching program up there has this direct funnel to A-Leaf down here in Houston. I don't know if you know anything about A-Leaf Independent
Sounds
School.
familiar, but I don't know if I...
Yeah, I mean, I know that's like where Beyonce went to school. A bunch of big Houston stars have come out of that.
Perhaps that's why.
Yeah, but
not because I'm a huge Beyonce fan, just because I think
yeah, and that's
there's some reason why.
The Blood Bros guys, they always rep the A-Leaf.
Maybe that's it.
That's where they're from.
Okay.
But yeah, not known as like the best school district. You know, you have some tough kids, but they actually paid student teachers to come down and teach. And then your starting pay in A-Leaf, I think, might be the best in public school in the whole country.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, she did that. She's still doing that. She actually just moved to Harmony in the past couple of weeks. It's a charter school closer to home, which is nice.
Cool. But that was the reason that pulled you to Houston.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So we were coming down here. I was, committed to learning more about barbecue. I had bought in a Traeger when I was up in Nebraska.
Oh,
doing all three of those jobs, I would always, smoke pork butts, give them out to, drunk college kids walking around town, because we literally lived right on that main road where kids would walk to parties. So there was a couple times where I cooked way too much food and wasn't going to charge people for it. So I just handed out.
But were you seeing on TV or reading about this barbecue, this different barbecue?
Yeah, so I caught wind of the thing that was happening in Texas when I left, because I left in 2012. And like I said, didn't look back.
Yeah.
But, I when I was in Nebraska, I fondly missed, Tex-Mex, barbecue, Southern hospitality. And just like, in Nebraska, you feel attached to your community, but that's more around the Husker football. That's how it was. But Texas had some really special things about it that nowhere I'd been, held as a part of their daily beliefs. So yeah, when we came down here, I was pretty dead set on going to learn from the best down here. Didn't know where I would go after here. Didn't know if I would stay here forever, but I just wanted to learn, because I'd seen the stuff that was happening on the internet, and obviously what Aaron Franklin started in Austin and what exploded after that. But so I came down here. We moved into a little apartment near her school district. Didn't have a job, looked around for probably a month. I think Roegels was the first spot I applied to, because it was just down the street from us at that time. I applied there, Fegis, the Pit Room, Rose. And then someone told me, who'd been down here teaching for a couple years, he was like, dude, have you been to Truth Barbecue? And I was like, no, like, what is it? He was like, well, it was a little shack in Brenham, which is a town north of here.
Yeah.
Because when you move to a place, you don't know anything about the surrounding areas. So that was news to me. And he said, yeah, they're opening a new location in the Heights and you should go check it out. And so I went in there, talked to Corey. He offered me a job, after that conversation. And from that point on, started trimming briskets in the walk-in for 8 or 9, 10 hours a day, all bundled up, beanie.
So had they just opened?
Yeah, so I had joined, I think, 2 weeks after their official opening. So I think their original pit crew was 8 guys, and then I joined them because there was, even more help needed. They were putting out a ton of volume, right off the bat. So I'd started trimming in the walk-in with a buddy, well, not a buddy, now he's a buddy, but another guy who had just started there, named Ulysses, and we would trim, and then, 1 or 2 guys would drop out of the pit room. They needed guys to manage fires. And at the time, Joe Yim was also there. And
oh, really?
He was not in any type of leadership or ownership or any type of position over there, but that's who he is. He's a teacher. He takes people under their wing. He empowers you with knowledge.
That's really good to hear, because I don't know if everyone, they see him on the internet, they see his YouTube stuff, but I don't know if they know, and they know about Lil Ray Lewis, but they probably don't know enough about it. That's cool to hear. I was just writing him like 4 or 5 days ago.
Oh yeah. Joe is the best. Like, really, like, the guy who taught me the most about barbecue as soon as I moved down here. So he kind of took me under his wing over at that spot. There were a couple shifts with management over there. He took over as the pit room manager. And we were cooking, on 5 pits over there at the time, and putting out a ton of meat. And that was a lot. But he left. He was on his voyage back to Chicago, via Leroy and Lewis. So I think he stopped there for a bit. But
they knew where he was going, I think.
Yeah. He's always wanted to go back to Chicago, and that's where he's at now, doing this. He's teaching, and barbecue's still a part of his life, but not doing it professionally right now. He's putting out some good videos, though. I don't know if you've seen any of his.
Oh yeah,
YouTube,
definitely.
But yeah, so worked on the pits there, started making sausage there, did everything. I mean, I was on the morning shift, the afternoon shift, the overnight rib cook, you name it. And then when Joe left there was a little bit of a vacuum. There was no one to take those reins. And I'd only been there for 7 months, 8 months at the time, but I mean, it was a vast amount of knowledge that gets thrown at you. And really you only learn it by doing it every single day. And I felt good enough to, go up to Leonard and say, hey, there's these things that aren't getting done management wise there. Can I do it? And he let me. And I mean, I did that for probably another 4 months. I think I stayed at Truth for a year and then started hearing, news of this virus that was popping out in China. And, at the time I was hacking up black shit from both my nose and my lungs. And I didn't even tell my fiance about it. I mean, I was just like, dealing with it. I thought it was a part of the job. And, it was a combination of that and just needing to move on from there. And so I quit a very safe job. I think I was the only salaried person in that pit room. And so I sat on my ass for a little bit, kind of happily. I had a little bit of money saved. I was observing, what was going on in the world at the time, and also getting checked out by, a pulmonologist to make sure I didn't have lung cancer or something. I had no idea what was going on. And I mean, the prognosis was that it was just environmental exposure, just get out of there, basically. Just gave me a steroid inhaler, I think, and it cleared up within probably a month or so. Mm-hmm. But in that time, I was happily sitting there making, margaritas at 10 a.m., grilling on the back patio of our little apartment just to keep my mind occupied.
As you watch like the world on the news crumbling around.
Yeah, I was walking on the the rat track around my apartment complex every single day. And it was cool for like 2 or 3 weeks, but I really need to be doing something. So I got back out on the job hunt and, was a little worried because I had just left Truth and I didn't, I don't think I burned any bridges, but I just let a good opportunity go for somebody else. And so I went, into a couple of places around, no one gets back to me, and then saw a job posting at Roegels on Instagram. I sent them my resume, via email. Russell called me, I think that night or the next day, and offered me the job over the phone, told me to come in, 5 a.m. Monday. And he showed me the ropes Monday morning, and Tuesday I went in and opened by myself. So it's been like that since.
For some reason, I thought you had worked there prior to the pandemic, but that's interesting. So
no, I started there June of 2020. Yeah,
2020. Okay,
June 2nd, I think.
And is it 2023 or 24? I forget what year it is. It's like 26. 26.
Yeah. Man, I don't
Okay, but yeah, it's okay. So you June of 2020.
Yeah. So I started with them, cooking, working on the front line, doing some register, cutting on the block, kind of everything, whereas at Truth, it was a more singular task. Keep your temps steady and make these briskets as close to perfect as we can. Yeah. And at Roegels, it was a nice balance of everything. And I really, like I said, I really enjoy service. So I like seeing the reactions of customers.
That's huge.
I like hearing the thank yous, because at Truth, you're behind glass walls. You don't get any of that. I mean, people are holding their phones up and video recording you, but can't hear anybody. You don't get that elation that some people feel.
And if you're in the back trimming for 8 hours, you're really not gonna hear the end result.
Oh yeah, you're sweating your ass off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in a sweat lodge. But but you had any experience working at Bewley's, but I guess you did Southern Pride sort of.
Yeah, I mean, the Bewleys that Russell used and the way that they cooked, I mean, the methods that I learned at Truth, like you can apply to any pit. I really do think some of the stuff they're doing over there is the best you can possibly do with some meats. And so, I took a little bit of those principles over there with me, but really Russell's figured out his business. He's been doing it a long time. He knows his product. He's not, overly analytical about anything, as some of these new barbecues are, taking notes for every single hour of the cook, which, there's a lot to be said about doing that. But I don't know, there was a lot less pressure at Roegels, and it really allowed me to, let my creative mind go and do stuff for them. I had the time, I had the energy. We're cooking on a Bewley where there's a temp gauge basically that'll shut off airflow if you're too hot or let it in if it's too cold. It really takes that constant oh shit, I gotta go check, I just threw this massive log on pit one and I've got a fire burning too hot over here, like this one takes that out of the picture. So it allows you to focus on your trim, focus on specials, focus on your service. And we had an amazingly smaller crew at Roegels. There's 7 employees there versus I think 35 at Truth. And I loved cooking on the Bewleys, and I mean I still am at the new location, but it's different. We're on a rotisserie now. But over there it was nice. I mean, we had 3 different pits, cooked different things on all of them. Always had space, and had good people to work with. One of the biggest keys, I think, to Russell's success is having employees that care, and that have been loyal to him for a long time. And that's a combination of them being good owners, allowing paid time off, 2 days off in a week, which in the food world is almost unheard of. It's a real weekend every week, even if it's on a Monday or Tuesday, things like that. Misty is one of the most giving people I've met. Anything you need, she was there to.
What a stellar human. I didn't know her that well until I interviewed her recently, and I'm like, I just hit it off and I love her. She's so great. That's
definitely a good person. And so that was really nice to come into contact with, right away at Roegels. And I think after 4 months of working for them, they were like, hey, Fletch, we're thinking about a second restaurant. We want you to run it. So that was amazing. I was like, oh, wow. Like there's this, I'm not the only one feeling good about this relationship. I mean, they valued me, and that was.
And Russell's savvy, like, not that he's like this. It's that he understands, like, he respects hard work and he respects dedication, and right there that shows.
He's figured out his business, and I mean I'm as happy as anybody to be helping him out with this next spot. So
when did you? But also too, weren't you instrumental in a lot of specials? Was that something that did you come to him and say, hey, I've got these ideas, or was it something where Russell came to you? I've always been curious.
Just everything with Russell is pretty laid back. He's a wing it kind of guy. If you don't have a plan for something, don't worry, make it and throw it on the menu.
Get it done.
I love that. And I mean, they had already been doing some cool specials before I was there. Obviously, the Reuben's been there for years. They'd cooked whole hogs before I was there, but I was just I was free to cook whatever. And so a lot of what I was doing creativity wise over there was taking some stuff that didn't sell the first day and repurposing it into the turkey katsu or chopped beef cheesesteaks. And then they also allowed, for if I needed to order meats in, I did, whole head barbacoa tacos over there. They were cool with it. They never said no. They said, throw it out there and see what happens.
That's crazy. And then sausage too. Isn't that something that you guys?
Yeah. So that's something that Russell and I worked on together. We went out to his good friend's restaurant, John Brotherton, in Round Rock, which is, I mean, so cool to see growing up in Georgetown to have that good of barbecue within 15 minutes of my house.
Yeah, that's crazy, huh?
Yeah. I'm surprised nothing's in Georgetown yet. But anyway, we went out there to learn from Bill Dumas.
I remember seeing some photos of you guys there. I think like one with like Russell like chilling in the back, just like
that's a small room. So it was only like one of us could be learning and doing with Bill at a time. And I was going to be the one, making a lot of the sausage for us. So I was doing a lot of it. And Bill couldn't have a cooler person, be the face of a link of sausage.
I know, like for anyone to be that, and he's so creative just in general. Like he's just a savant, and so it's interesting. And he's got it, and he doesn't hold back on how he is as a person. Like,
exactly. I mean, I felt so free talking to him because some people you just don't know. You don't want to offend somebody. You don't want to tell a story that might freak them out. But that was what we did the entire day making sausage, was tell stories and talk about the future, talk about the past. And that guy's cool. I mean, that's all
Yeah.
I got to say about him.
No, my one of my small dreams in my life is to hang out at his bar at his house, and
Oh yeah, yeah. I
that would
still
be.
need to get down there. Man, that is a cool spot. It's like a tiki bar of Texas.
Uh-huh.
It's
Yeah.
cool.
No, he we did an interview and he had like I think the phone right there and he had a beer and then he was just and it was like a green glow behind him and it was just
Yeah.
like he could just talk for I could just like keep it on. I was almost like I almost want to do like a weekly chat with Bill and just have him
He
give
could
me the week's highlights.
he could sell barbecue out of that house, no problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Okay, so you did the sausage course,
Yeah.
but it was
So
also, he's Russell's really good friends with John and yeah.
yeah, so we were hanging out, shooting shit, telling jokes. Was there for 2 days because sausage making in Bill's eyes is a 3-day process.
Okay.
And I mean, there's definitely a lot in those 3 days. But so we took that back to Houston, changed up the recipes a little bit. But the process is I tried to stick to, what Bill taught me. I'd
Oh,
made sausage before, but it was pretty like, hey, we got to make 300 pounds of sausage. Let's get it done.
yeah.
Bill was he cares about every single link. And the fact that he doesn't get tired of it is inspiring because
Yeah.
it's not, once you're good at it, it's not hard work. It's just meticulous. You can't rush anything. So yeah, we worked on sausages pretty early there. And then eventually, I was making 100% of the sausage that was coming out of the store up until about a month ago when I moved over to Katy.
Okay.
And now Russell's been making some of it. I know he's been teaching a few of the guys in the back, but I mean, I learned to love it. You get into this flow state with sausage because it is, a repetitive task, but now you'd throw a podcast in. I mean, I've listened to, I don't know how many hours, maybe 100,000 hours plus of podcasts. And this is my first time being on one. So
Excellent.
just,
It's perfect.
yeah,
Well, that's
yeah.
what they usually say. It takes 100,000 hours of listening to podcasts before you actually get to be on
Yeah,
one.
now I'm good at it, right? I've listened to it.
Yeah, if you've heard it, comment below what you think.
Mhm.
No, but we also too. I want to circle back. I hate the term circle back, but I want to go back to the turkey katsu. Did you realize? I guess I don't know if you realize, but it became something different than I'm sure you imagined. It was just a special, probably, and then
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the specials over there, it was just like, what do I want to make for myself and the team the next day? And
yeah.
the turkey katsu is a good sandwich because if you have a leftover turkey breast, chill it, fillet it, bread it, fry it, and then you've got what is the turkey katsu. And there's nothing crazy going on with it. It's basically a hot chicken sandwich. It's just something that I craved.
Was it inspired off of another restaurant or one that you had gone to back
No,
in New York?
no,
Or
no,
no?
nothing specifically. I mean, besides the numerous hot chicken restaurants in town that I thought were,
In
all
every
the
major city across the United States.
yeah, yeah, they're popping up like none other right now.
Yeah. Still, which
But
is
yeah,
amazing.
yeah, that was a good sandwich. Still is a good sandwich. I'm excited to get it out in Katy. It might be a little bit before we start doing specials. We still got a pretty small team.
Should we talk about Katy?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's been the focus of the last month of my life. I mean, focus of Russell and Misty's now for seems like 5 months.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was told early on you're going to be the guy out there. So my brain was turning with a couple ideas for specials and whatnot out that way, and just the different clientele that we'd get out there as well. Because where we're at, it's a lot of older folks on Voss. People who've been to the restaurant for many years, so they know what to expect, don't really like changes. And out at this new spot, I mean, Katy is, a suburb of one of the coolest food cities in America. And what they take pride in, and you'll see it in that Katy Fort Bend foodies page, like people are obsessed with checking out spots and telling people about it. So I think, yeah, once we got the barbecue nailed, we're going to be doing, quite a bit specials wise. I know I was listening to that episode with you and Misty. I know she had said all the specials every day.
That was originally, and then I think in the second in our tour, she dialed that back because you guys had kind of talked. Well, no, but I think but you also, I could sense her enthusiasm. She was excited because you didn't, and it was also unknown.
Yeah. So I mean, we're definitely going to be bringing that stuff to Katy, but in the meantime, we're getting staffed up, getting people trained up, and then eventually it'll happen. But I mean, the barbecue alone is what they've made their kicks off of, and what we're planning on doing out there is, being a classic local barbecue where you actually know the people working there. The old restaurant, Bruce has been there for 19 years on the register, maybe even 20 years.
Oh.
And people love that guy. And I don't know how to hire somebody like that. I don't know how to train somebody
Yeah.
like that. I don't think you can, but I'm looking for him. I mean, and I'm trying to be that person, but I've got to cook and, manage as well. So it's a little bit of a balancing act, but
you want to turn it into like the local barbecue place for people, so that when they come back once or twice a week, they see the same people and it's homey.
Yeah, and a lot of the the barbecue guys in Houston, like there's not many bars to sit at, and we're gonna have an 8-seat bar at the new spot.
Yeah, that's cool.
It'll be a different environment than the old location, but keep a lot of the classic Roegels Barbecue feel and food alive there.
So have you guys figured out, because in the tour that she gave, you'll order at the cashier, and then will it come to your table, or will you wait, or how do you?
So yeah, we do have a number system going where we're still writing tickets. We're not using the square system for printing tickets. But yeah, I mean, when we've got heavy flow, we're going to have a couple of girls running tables for us.
A few runners, yeah.
Yeah, when it's trickle in, or just one or two people in line, like we'll still keep it. Hey, your food's going to be out by the time you're at the end of this line.
Gotcha.
So it's more of that personal connection. There's still a lot to figure out. We haven't, we've had a couple of mock services, a couple of trial runs with things.
Yeah, it makes sense. You have to do that for restaurant.
And they've gone, thankfully, very well. I mean, you definitely learn what you have to correct. But I've got a small team right now, not a lot of people who've even worked in the restaurant industry, but are willing to learn, and I'm willing to teach if you're willing to learn.
Are you guys still, I don't know how many people get jobs off of this podcast, but are you still hiring or no?
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So spread the word if someone's listening, and because this will be out this week.
Yeah. Whether you're a barbecue guy or, you just need a job at a restaurant, if you care about what you do, and if you want to even learn to care about what you do, like I'm going to be there for you. And that's kind of how I see my role over there, is that, people complain about, oh, we can't find good employees, good workers right now. It's like, well, half of that is on you, and, instilling that work ethic and showing them what it looks like. So, I mean, that's my priority over there. I can cook food and I can, be a pit master, but what we really need is somebody to, inspire everyone to be at their best every day. Not
Definitely.
Just, a couple
the whole
guys.
staff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what days of the week are you guys looking like tentatively?
Right off the bat, we're going Wednesday through Sunday. So we're going to have 2 days closed, which is, the other location was a 7-day-a-week spot. So that's the beginnings, with lunch and dinner expected.
Yeah.
We're going to not try to sell out as much as the other location, just so we can push that dinner service and alcohol.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're definitely excited about it. I mean, I've got a guy who worked with me over at Truth as kind of my right-hand man right now out there. So he and I are good buddies outside of work. So it's been good so far.
And how do you like that Bewley?
I mean, it cooks a pretty similar product, puts a really nice bark on the meat, but working with, vertical drippage is interesting because you can't have your briskets, above or below chickens. So figuring out spacing has been a little bit tricky. I mean, Russell's already talking about, we're going to need a trailer pit out on the back already. And we haven't really even served anybody, but that's something that'll come with, some cash flows. We can build an outdoor pit room. I don't know if you've seen the location, but that back parking lot is, I don't know how many hundreds of spots there are, but it's,
I didn't know. I've seen the outside. Misty sent me some photos of the outside, but I didn't see, and I saw the back where the wood was. That's the back, right? Isn't that I'll put some photos below, but then but that's awesome.
Huge parking area, which is, the opposite of Voss. I mean, there's some spots there, but they'd fill up pretty quick on a busy day.
Yeah.
So our potential for, keeping a big line is great. Inside the restaurant, there's a line that can probably hold 50 people in it, which is great when you have, rainy days in Houston, hot days in Houston, cold days in Houston. So, I mean, the restaurant itself has the bones to do what we need with it. And that pit specifically, can do a lot of volume. It's just figuring out the cook right now, because everything, when you're cooking on a rotisserie pit, everything basically is cooking at the same temperature. You have two racks that have like a little bit of variance, but you can't put different things on those racks because of the drip situation.
Interesting. Yeah. So eventually you probably will need,
mm-hmm.
but that'll be, it's exciting. How are you excited?
Oh yeah, definitely. If I don't seem excited,
No, you do. No, I just wanted to that's what I throw out there. No, you do seem excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for it because, I mean, the way Russell is, I mean, he's not throwing any pressure on me. He's just letting me be a leader, letting me do my thing. He knows I'm a good cook. He's letting me teach. And he's not stressed out. Oh, well, if we can't do this or if we can't do that, like, he's like, we're going to do what we can until we can do more. He's an ease into it guy at the same time as being a wing it guy. So we're going to rock with both of those from the start.
And it'll be Wednesday through Sunday.
Yeah.
11
to 8, I think.
8-ish, I think that.
Yeah, okay. We're going to have to with that bar. Maybe Sundays will vary on that nighttime, but we'll see.
What if there's like an Astros game that runs late or something? You guys will stay open?
Maybe. I mean, we are.
I don't know. I was like,
what is nice about the location, I know that Russell and Misty are closer where they live.
Yeah.
I'm only 15 minutes away, so it's easy for me to get in and out of there. And that's huge for Houston because everywhere seems like a adventure.
Is it going to be weird for you to be away from Voss then?
Weird, yes, because of the the relationships with some of the employees I built there. I really respect a few of the people. I mean, all the people over there, but Bruce specifically, Goody up front. Those guys are a two-man team up in the front. I mean, I'm going to miss I don't know. It just has that like old Texas barbecue feel. And we're doing something, trying to keep that alive, but it's also new. It's Katy. Yeah. It's going to be busier. I mean, that's the plan. We're planning on doing a lot more business, and that's a part of my job as well. I mean, we're looking to go, pretty hot and fast once it's open. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean,
congratulations for that too. That's huge. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, I didn't think that I would be in the position that I'm in just after a couple years here, because when I moved here, the only real barbecue experience I had was watching YouTube videos and cooking on a Traeger. Like, that is not what we do here.
Well, that could be inspiring to someone that's watching this, because it shows, you work hard, and you had experience doing a bunch of different restaurant things, but it also, if you work hard and are passionate about something, you can succeed. And
you've just got to like keep that goal in mind and be confident and go for it. Cause somebody's got to do it, and
if it's not you, someone else. Yeah,
exactly. And restaurants need help. So
they do. Yeah. If you can't get a restaurant job now, you're not trying hard enough. And also too, I Misty had mentioned, and I don't know if this is something, if someone hasn't watched the tour, they, if you want to order extra, you can go to the bar after you've ordered previously. If you wanted to order something additional, you can go to the bar, and when you order a drink, you can order that way too, right?
Yeah,
so are you guys doing that?
Should be set up to allow that. And we're going to have some bar snacks as well. We're going to do nachos, cool. Pork belly burn ends, wings up there.
That's smart.
So, yeah, we're going to do a little bit more than what we were doing over at Voss, just to appeal to that bar crowd. But yeah, I'm excited for that.
I'm excited to see how it plays out too. It's going to be successful. It's just going to be interesting to see how it works, like what you guys will think. Maybe we check back in 6 months or 8 months from now and kind of get your,
I'm sure it will be very different.
How your head thinking right now. And I'll coach you. I'll say, here's what you said. No, I'm kidding. I'm just joking. But it's so good. It's so good to meet you for the first time. It's so nice. And
I'm super happy that you reached out. I mean, I didn't think that I deserved to get attention for barbecue, but it's nice.
You do.
It feels cool to be in the community. So
that's the whole goal of what I'm doing, is to share people, like the personalities and people and their backgrounds about. I just want to share stories. And now I think a lot of people, everything that I had heard about you, there's so much more, and I didn't know about your journey to New Hampshire and Nebraska, and it's interesting, and it's interesting to hear your passion, because I think that heading up a new restaurant in Katy, people will want to talk to you and be curious. And
Yeah.
so hopefully,
Well,
hopefully this will give
I look
some
forward to
insight.
talking to them. So
Yeah,
thank you,
definitely.
Kevin. Awesome.
Thank you.